how it is tricky to identify the symptoms of mental health disorders in general. And when it comes to children, it's even more difficult because they can't express and they can't exactly say how they feel. So how can parents or guardians for that matter identify that their child is going through a particular mental health disorder?
Yeah. So one of the major things we look at today is we suggest to parents that keep the line of communication open with the child.
Yes.
You don't need to observe what's going on with the child.
Correct.
Because typically when any of this either there's an onset of depression or anxiety, what we notice is there are certain drastic changes that are observed in the child's regular patterns, whether it is sleep or eating pattern. Those are things we can recognize. The child tends to isolate. That is, they don't want to be with friends. You'll see a marked change in the way the child is reacting. And we may also find that they don't want to communicate as much. They don't want to be. They'll say, "I don't want to go out with you. I don't want to go out with the family." And of course, like we always say, be open. We suggest to parents to be open to the feedback from teachers. Regularly communicate with people who are around the child, so that we are able to recognize. And we also see that overall our attitude towards mental health is, parents tell children, I faced these issues when I was a child, I didn't have a problem, why are you reacting like this? So that should not be done. What is good today is that there are counselor support in schools. Yes, and schools themselves usually provide. But otherwise, we should tell parents it's okay to approach a counselor. It is also good to, when you have a homeopathic doctor, you have a good communication and relationship with them. It is good to open up and also allow the child to talk to them.
Yes. So we homeopaths have a very unique way of identifying kids based on their activity, appearance and so on. Something that we call pediatric constitution. So ma'am, if you could tell our viewers what exactly is this concept of constitution and its role to play in the homeopathic approach to dealing with such cases.
Yeah. So I think a simple way for people to understand pediatric constitution is the entire homeopathic approach to treatment. One, it is holistic. That is, even if we are looking at treating an asthma or a depression in a child, we will still look at all the issues the child is going through, including very simple everyday things. How is the appetite? How is the digestion? How is the sleep? All of these play a very significant role in our assessment of children, whatever we may be treating.
Correct.
The second important thing becomes individualized. So it is not extremely important that we reach the diagnosis, but symptomatically, what is it that the child is going through, and whether it is a child, if we have a lot of children who are depressed, it is still very different. Each child will express it in a very different way. And that information is very important to our approach to the case, which we can overall say is a immunity-based approach, where we are looking at the what we call today the psycho-hormone endocrine approach, right?
Okay, so with that we come to the final segment of the show, where I've collected certain questions from the internet, which are frequently asked questions about homeopathy and child mental health. So if you could answer them for us, ma'am. So the first one is, once treated by homeopathy, can these mind disorders in children recur?
Yes. See, what happens is a lot of the mental disorders have what we call a maintaining cause. That is, like I mentioned, if there is a family situation which is difficult, or they're being bullied at school, or let's say there's an intellectual disability, or the child is not able to perform well academically. So as long as this pressure remains, the stressful situation remains, yes, it can recur. But usually what we do is we will take a holistic approach where we give a counseling support to the child. Psychotherapists are involved in the treatment. So that makes it and we also encourage parents to get involved, and we help them open up the line of communication. So this is very important to make sure it does not recur.
Right. Something similar to what we call the maintaining cause.
Yes.
So if that has to be removed in order to clear it completely. Right. So ma'am, the second question, does taking homeopathy during pregnancy reduce the chances of a child developing an intellectual disorder?
Yes, so today we are recognizing as a cause. We say one is a genetic predisposition in a child to certain disorders, and we also say epigenetics. So epigenetics is what also happens during the course of pregnancy. So for example, if the mother is extremely stressed during pregnancy, or they're going through certain health issues, we see hypothyroidism, or we see diabetes potentially during pregnancy. So these will have an effect on early childhood development also, not only fetal development, but it carries on. It can potentially affect the first 2 to 3 years of development of the child. So definitely, when we look at a mother going through, the woman going through pregnancy, if there are any health issues, homeopathy can definitely take care of a lot of those issues very safely, without harming the fetal development or without having any sort of a side effect. So it is, in that way, it is definitely effective.
Right. Okay. So the next question, can behavioral disorders in children be completely reversed with homeopathy?
Yeah, so yes, like I said, this is largely related to triggers, but yes, we do find that, for example, in a younger child, if we have ADHD or we have certain behavioral issues, with a treatment of that lasts until the child is really doing well, then yes, it usually does not recur. We do some maintenance treatment, but yes, we can.
So it can be completely reversed as well.
It depends on the situation. I mean, if there are other genetic factors involved, if there are other factors involved, but yes, it is possible.